Defense attorney Ann Bremner is back to discuss several high-profile criminal cases that we've all been following, both on the local and the national level, and we're so grateful that you stuck around.
Thank you.
Let's start with the Manny Ellis case that just wrapped up with the acquittal of 3 Tacoma police officers in the death of Ellis. You represented one of the officers. You mentioned how you had so many things to carry into trial.
I did.
What were some of the most difficult and challenging components of the trial?
There were quite a few of them, but the medical testimony, there was the fact that the AG's office had 7 lawyers on the case, and there was 100,000 pages of documents. It was a very big case that way. And then to also deal with use of force, experts, and everything else. But finally, my client was innocent, the other officers were too, and it was quite a burden to take to make sure the jury saw it the way that we saw it, which thankfully they did.
It is a lot, a large trial to take. It is wrapped up now. But there are a lot of trials that we continue to follow right now that are huge, that we just can't tear our eyes away from. One of them is the Idaho murder case, which is just so awful. Now, Bryan Kohberger, he is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. What are some of the latest developments in the case? You said he has a really good defense team.
He does. I mean, they are meticulous and they're all over everything all the time. There's a gag order in the case, of course, which is a good thing, because you don't want the case to be reversed on pretrial publicity or have undue influence on a jury from media or other leaks, etc. But now that there's been that gag order, which everyone agreed to, the defense is saying, we want this motion to dismiss we just filed to be public. They're trying to get some things to be public.
Interesting.
And they're saying, well, it's procedural, it's not substantive, so it's not under the gag order, you should release it. So it seems to me they're now trying to go to get some public opinion on their side.
Okay.
It's a death penalty case. And in Idaho, that's the firing squad.
Okay.
Like
I don't mess around in Idaho.
Right, North Carolina, etc. And so, you know, this is a huge case right now. And I think they feel that they need to garner some public sentiment on his side, saying maybe it's not the strong case it is. Maybe the DNA is problematic, etc. Maybe the searches are problematic. It's going to be tried in the summer. And so I think they're gearing up to at least try and get some of what they have that's good for them out into the public eye.
So how do you, when you get it out there, and the whole point is getting it in the public eye, but I'm assuming they're going to be starting to interview jurors and try to mitigate some of that information, right?
Yeah, but the problem is, you know, where they are, even if you change venue, you know, you basically have universal coverage in this day and age. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people look at this case and say, oh, that guy is so guilty, you know, from what they've seen so far. And it's just hard to undo that, to seed, you know, sow seeds of doubt and to find jurors. It's not that they haven't heard about the case. That's not what is required. It's have they heard, if they've heard, can they put aside any bias or opinion they have? That's all.
That's going to be, I have a million questions to ask you about juror selection, but I know we don't have time right now, because I know that's got to be one of the most important parts of the case. Let's go to Jeffrey Epstein now. A list of names is released. Why has it taken so long, and will we ever see a full list of who was on the island or these flight logs? Does it even matter at this point?
It probably doesn't matter, but it doesn't. This is from a civil case with Virginia Roberts. And so what we're seeing is basically the quote-unquote discovery in that case, which would be, you know, emails, texts, letters, documents pertaining to even flight logs, which were out before that. With information about who was on those, who was flying to what they call the Lita Island, the Little James Island. But the fact is, you're starting to see names beyond what we kept hearing over and over again. It was Bill Clinton, it was you know, Bill Gates. You would hear these people. Now you're starting to hear like someone like Cameron Diaz or, you know, that kind of thing. Just Kevin Spacey being there. Does it make him guilty? No. Is there evidence that they were involved in sexual acts with minors? No. Let's look at Prince Andrew. You know, what is there? There's a lot more with him. And if you watch the documentaries and look at the documents, you know, he is implicated, at least with trafficking. And then the question of age, a lot of these victims, some were of age, many were not. And then the age of consent differs in different jurisdictions. Remember, it's Florida, it's New York, it's he's in Paris, and then he had the island, you know, et cetera, and then, of course, in the UK.
Wow. Even in a civil case, I mean, is there value in exposing this stuff to the public, making the discovery available?
I think so, and I think that's what the judge decided. The judge let everybody object that had standing, and then decided this is public information, and it should be, because these are often public figures dealing with potential abusive underage victims, but also potential trafficking, because that's another part of the Epstein case. That is the trafficking.
That's the part that really, it's something I don't think we're actually covering enough.
No, and that was the indictment in the Southern District of New York, was trafficking.
Yeah.
When they went through the criminal process. And then, of course, the question is, did he really kill himself, etc. It's quite a story, but I did, getting ready for this, go watch some of those documentaries, and oh my gosh.
It's painful.
It's very painful.
I watched the first one of the first ones that came out. It makes you sick to your stomach.
It does.
Another story that is really kind of hard to talk about and hard to look at is this Gypsy Rose case.
Right.
It has captured so much attention. My little sister and I were talking about it because I watched a podcast on it. I feel so bad for this lady, but truly, I mean, it's really a complex, layered issue, right?
Right. It sounds like my brother was serial when that first came out. He kept telling me, like, you got to listen to it. I'm like, I do that every day in my job, Steve.
Right,
you know what I mean? But yeah, it's multi-layered. It's like, you know, there's all these. There's been the Hulu piece, the act, and then of course you've got the prison diaries, you know, and other things about her. And at first it looks sympathetic. She kills her mom. Her boyfriend does, because she's abused. But you know, really, you know, is she that sympathetic now? It was like a failed self-defense argument at her sentencing, and she got 10 years.
Right.
But now we look at her and a lot of people are saying, I don't know if I believe her. You know what I mean? I don't, how did she get that guy to do it if she was so, you know, kind of victimized and powerless?
Right.
I mean, because she did ask him or indicate that it would be a good thing.
Right.
Right?
She led that path.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have to wonder, you know, how much work how much, you know, therapy and counseling did she get while she was in prison? And is
not a lot. I mean, it's usually not available. I should say, none. But but she's out. She's all over TikTok. She's got all these followers. That's the thing.
That's the thing that makes me get a little uncomfortable.
Right.
Is when you see this and you're watching this person, and of course, you know, if someone has done the time and they committed the crime, you want them to, you know, all right, fine. But there is just something that makes me a little uncomfortable about the way that is being portrayed in the interwebs, social media.
And then you see, I love the trends on TikTok. I love to watch cat videos anyway, but then to watch,
you too.
I know, it's like they're so great, but so much creativity. But then you see kind of this whole trend with TikTokers saying, I don't know if I believe her. I kind of think she's a manipulator. And to me, that's really indicative of kind of a greater mindset.
Yeah.
You know, saying, you know, she's out there all over, you know, the internet and has all these followers and all this interest, but really, you know, what's the true story? And people are questioning that.
All right. Well, always keep a little bit of a question there.
That's right.
It's important for all of us.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much, Anne, for taking
pleasure.
the time. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Such a pleasure to chat with you.